By the early 19th century, immigrants from all over Europe were arriving in New York in their hundreds of thousands, all with their own traditions. If St. Nicholas was going to hit the big time, he would first have to become an American. That would take a complete makeover, a change of name, a publicity boost, a bit of pizzazz. It was here in New York that the great publishing industry delivered the goods. I've come to one of the city's oldest and most famous museums. Hidden in the archives is an important clue as to how Father Christmas took off. Curator Jean Ashton brings out the original handwritten poem that gave birth to Father Christmas in 1823. This is the first time we get a proper description of what we call Father Christmas. You tend to say Santa Claus.
Yes.
We just read out the first few lines.
"'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there." So he's still St. Nicholas, he's not Santa Claus.
But this is the first time that we get the idea of him coming down the chimney.
I think so.
The writer of the poem, Clement Clarke Moore, took inspiration from the New York he lived in. The horses and carriages in Central Park were a useful starting point. In a moment of genius, he turned the carriages into sleighs and the horses into reindeer. St. Nicholas was transformed. He was now a jolly old elf delivering presents to children on Christmas Eve.
He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his sack.
Do we get him saying ho, ho, ho?
Well, no, we don't yet, but he was chubby and a plump. This is important. He's a right jolly old elf. And I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. So he's no longer that dour bishop with a crook. He's a jolly old elf.
Getting there, aren't we? It wasn't long before New Yorkers started calling St. Nicholas Santa Claus, an Americanization of his Dutch name, Sinterklaas. Out of the archives, Jean's found a book by the 19th century cartoonist Thomas Nast. He illustrated the poem. For the first time, people could see what Santa Claus looked like.
This is the first real big image by Thomas Nast, and here he's got all of the characteristics that people talk about with Santa Claus now. He's on the lookout for good children. He's got a record of behavior, the good boys and girls. He's making dollies' clothes here.
He looks quite small though, doesn't he?
Yes, he is small. But see, it is Christmas Eve here, and he's got his reindeer. It's a little hard to see there.
And there's the Christmas tree, and there he is climbing up.
There's the Christmas tree, he's making toys. But this became very, very popular.
It was so popular that Nast drew Father Christmas every Christmas for 20 years.
Nice little story for girls and for boys is all about Santa Claus, Christmas, and toys.
And he's making the toys there.
And he's making the toys, yes. It said he's large round the waist, but what care we for that? 'Tis the good-natured people who always get fat. My favorite line is, see, the top of his head is all shining and bare. 'Tis the good men, dear children, who lose all their hair. I think that resonated with his adult readers.
It resonates with me, that. Yeah, no, that's good. By the end of the 19th century, Santa Claus had a home at the North Pole, where he could live in secret, free from prying eyes. He had a reindeer and sleigh, a sack full of toys, a brown fur suit that was turning increasingly red, and an amazing ability to climb down chimneys.